Okay, I'm assuming from the people that have looked up that we've read both of those to interpretation. I'm recording now. So, what does interpretation 1 think was the reason why the Montgomery bus boycott ended? Yes, Chloe?
Because the Supreme Court ruled Montgomery bus segregation law unconstitutional.
Yeah, that's it. So, perfect. You'd have worked that out in your exam yourself. You'd have been able to do this question. Because half of the battle is being able to work out what the interpretation says. So that one thinks it was the Supreme Court. What does interpretation 2 think caused the end of the Montgomery bus boycott? And Chloe's on fire today, but we'll go. Sam?
Bus company going broke.
Yeah, right at the bottom it says the bus company nearly went broke. In the end, the company gave in. So, are they both right? Is that possible for them to be both right?
Yeah. No.
Oh, it's difficult. Did the Supreme Court rule that it was unconstitutional?
What does that mean?
Well, the American government, the whole of America, is based when they got independence from us. They called them the founding fathers. A group of powerful men at the time in the 1700s sat together and said, right, we're making a new country, a brand new country from scratch. We need to make some rules. So they wrote some rules, and those rules are the Constitution. And nothing in American law can go against the Constitution. It has to all be passed against the Constitution. And one of the things it said in the Constitution was all men are born equal, or something to that effect. So the Montgomery bus boycott was, well, the Montgomery bus company making black and white people sit separately is not showing that all men are born equal and should be treated equally. So the Supreme Court judges looked at it and went, that's not constitutional, and ruled it was against the law for them to do that.
Oh, okay.
So did that happen?
Yeah.
Yes, it did. Did the company nearly go bust because nobody was getting on the buses?
Yes.
So both of those things did happen, but what was the key reason why they gave in?
Supreme Court.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. I can't think myself. I'm not sure which of those two things was more important, and I'm your teacher. It's a tricky question. Well,
Yeah.
no, well, I'll tell you what I'd do. If I was sat home and I'm thinking I don't know which is the most important, I'd probably, as your teacher, and I am going to be writing an example answer, so I'm going to have to do this. I'd Google it and see if I could find out, and I'd probably watch something on YouTube if I couldn't find out from Google, or I'd look in a history book, which I've got a few of those, and I'd see if I could find out what the main reason was. But you've got another option, haven't you? Because if you go on Quizlet, the Quizlet you used last time. So Holly, what was your interpretation question on last time? It was Little Rock. Was it Little Rock or Brown versus Topeka? Yeah. And so you had that Quizlet. This time you've got 24 terms specifically just on the Montgomery bus boycott with loads of facts of information of different names. So if you're thinking of own knowledge, you do not need to look anywhere else other than this Quizlet, because it's got it all on there that you could possibly need. But it won't tell you what was the key reason that the Montgomery bus boycott ended. So I guess that I'm anticipating, because although I am going to research, and you'll find out in my example answer, my guess, which may be wrong, is that there is no right answer. They probably were about to go bust at the same time as the Supreme Court judged that it was unconstitutional. And therefore, you have to be firm and decisive and just choose what you think it would have been that would have been decisive. Yes, Reef? Well, Chloe just asked me that, and I just explained it. So if you watch the video back, you can see why it's constitutional. There's no point me explaining that same thing twice.
I don't know what the word means.
You will be on the video. So if the US Constitution, right, is this... Excuse me, I can hear voices. Really, just wait for a minute to explain that. So the US Constitution is this massive piece of paper. It's a few pieces of paper, actually. It's basically a list of rules. You know that people keep shooting people in America? Yeah, and that is because Americans are allowed guns. Yeah? Because in the Constitution, in the 1700s, it was written down that every American has the right to bear arms.
What does that mean?
Basically, the right to have a gun. And so, although there's a lot of people in America who might want to stop guns being legal,
It's impossible.
it's not impossible. It's nearly impossible. Well, not nearly impossible. It's very difficult because you can change the Constitution, and it's called an amendment if you change the Constitution. But you have to get a large number of the politicians, more than over half, like a big number of the politicians, to all agree. And I can still hear voices, Louis, so do you know this? So listen. So, a lot of the American politicians don't want to have to give up guns, or enough of them don't want to have to give up guns, for it to be difficult to change the Constitution. So basically, Reef, in response to your question, if whatever it is that the Supreme Court is judging on does not fit with the Constitution, then it is unconstitutional. So if somebody came along and said, right, we're banning guns, the Supreme Court looks at the Constitution and goes, no, you can't, because it says everybody has the right to bear arms. So that is unconstitutional. Do you see?
That's so bad, they shouldn't do that.
Yeah, well, it's all based on these rules that they made up in the 1700s.
You don't know how many people have got them.
How many what?
How many guns people
A lot. Yeah.
Exactly, so you can't control it
Oh,
all.
right, I see what you're saying.
So unconstitutional means that it can't be passed.
It goes against the Constitution. That's why I keep waving this piece of
Is
paper.
that why I denied it?
Why they what?
Like the word unconstitutional.
Yes, it's like denied it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, there is another thing which, of course, you should, if you want to do particularly well on this homework, and you're thinking, I'm not sure about how to do interpretation questions. Well, don't forget, on Monday, you watched a video which had 7 targets and a bonus target of what to do in order to do well on an interpretation question. That has not disappeared. And most importantly, I'm going to ask you all of this. What are you going to do when you're tackling your targets?
Highlight them.
You're going to do it in a different colour, you're going to highlight it, you can do it in pink, you can do it in purple, you can do it in whatever colour you want. You can do it in a highlighter pen, so long as I can read it. I don't care. So long as when I come to read your answer, I can see where you think you've improved. Because, Antonia, if you think you've improved, and I look and you haven't, I need to explain it better, don't I? Right, so that video's made.